Our lives can improve when we're coming from a more empowered, confident space in our relationship with money, or where we're at in our financial position. We can really show up much more differently in relationships.
That's Beth Dana. After years of working in the financial industry, she noticed something interesting. Our financial systems are rooted in a highly masculine, acquisition-focused mindset that is unhealthy in so many ways. Beth decided to challenge that paradigm and created a teaching system and nonprofit organization called Wellth Living that embraces a more holistic approach to money.
Really, Wellth Living is a dynamic, energetic beast. And we have a really big vision to touch a lot of lives globally.
On this episode, we dig into Beth's big vision to shift people's relationship with money and connect with how they really want to live.
Welcome to The Breakout, a show about smashing through life's little boxes and forging your own path. I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich.
And I'm Kelly Gunther. Carrie and I are people and change experts and best friends. We've spent more than 25 years helping organizations navigate change and get the best out of their people.
Come on, we know change is hard, but staying the same can even be harder. On The Breakout, we prove that you can escape expectations, and best of all, we show you how.
I was in the financial industry for just about 5 years and just recognized the heart-centered, compassionate approach was missing, and just very action-oriented and just very masculine, action-oriented driven, that softness, that flow, that energetic feeling was just missing in my life at the time, because I had been in just careers that were just go, hustle, hustle. And I was just really being called to okay, it's time for you to really step into your feminine and really create this balance of the masculine and feminine in your life. And so it was this opportunity for me to see not only what was missing in my life, but what was missing in the industry.
I love that moment that you thought the financial services industry is so masculine and we need to balance that out. And that was such a revelation, even for me, just looking at it and looking at your website and thinking, oh my goodness, you're so right. Tell us how you started in the financial industry.
Well, I was actually in the real estate industry at the time and had my broker's license and wanted to add extra value to my services. And I thought, well, why not add on financial services as an option? But then I realized, wow, the financial education in our country, it wasn't just me that didn't grow up with it, but this is a thing. And then I just recognized I got to go full into the financial. This is really important to be teaching people the fundamentals, just the basic concepts of money that are missing in most households and schools, right? And it's not really talked about. So how do we get to bring this back in to our everyday conversation and not allow it to be this something that feels burdened? Because I've been there, where it feels heavy and stressful and really breaking from that energetic way around money. So then I stepped full into that, and then here we are.
Wow. What did you notice? What were those masculine traits that you noticed in the financial industry that made you think, that's what I want to challenge? That's not serving people well.
Well, it was really like a lot of product pushing, services pushing. And, as much as we did educate people on finances, it's really the mindset. And so what I saw was missing is, nurturing the person beforehand, because you can sit in front of a client, and I did that many times, where they got excited about the financial education that they wish they would have learned years ago. But then the mindset would shift and you could hear it. It's just that paradigm that just went back from their 0 to 8-year-old upbringing, right? And so that's what I saw was missing, is nurturing people ahead of time and just really being with them to break through so that they can become a client, really supporting them with shifting that overall holistic relationship with money. Because any aspect in our life, it's the internal work that we've got to go through first to create our external results. So it's the same with money. I've since left the industry. I left in 2020, and I'm really grateful for my time there. I know that it served me for the purpose of creating the book series and supporting people and continuing to support them in a very holistic way.
What was going on in your life during that time, and what helped you make that shift?
Well, I started the books just as like a guide, as a way to really kind of be a lead generator for potential clients. It wasn't until I actually started writing the book that I'm like, oh, there's more work to be done here. This is a series. And it wasn't until after that that I realized, well, this is a coaching program. And so it all kind of came in different, sections and unfoldings, really. The books are all guides. They're all working journals. So anybody can get them, do the work on their own, have a study group, book club, do the work on your own. But I recognize, we're humans. And a lot of times a person might open up that book and there might be a question in that book that brings up something. And that book is on the side now collecting dust on their side table, right? And I don't want that. I really want to support people in breaking through that next level. And so that's why I was like, well, let me offer my services to help guide people through. How can I, really see the things that maybe you wouldn't be able to see if you're doing the book on your own?
Yeah. What is one of your favorite stories with someone that you've been coaching, the shift from where they started to going through coaching with you and then where they ended up?
I think if I can kind of just put the flavor in that I noticed with most everyone is that they come in with the money, but other aspects of their life pop open. So that's what's great. Yes, they'll set goals for their money and they'll break through and maybe some of if they're self-employed, they might take their business to the next level, that sort of thing. But really it's seeing the other aspects of our life that end up blossoming, relationships that strengthen, health. Maybe they start looking at the ways that they can eat more healthy because that's money related, or, just creating peace of mind. It's not necessarily about not having money, because we know that there's a lot of people with a lot of money who are unhappy, who are disconnected, they're unhealthy. So it's also about that, right? How can you have this money, but also now have peace of mind in your life? And then you're creating beautiful stuff in other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you said, money touches everything in your life. Like you said, the healthy way you eat or not eat, and my relationship. Maybe we argue about money, and it just touches so many aspects of your life that it totally makes sense that you're coaching on so many more things than just, hey, Beth, I want to save $5,000. And that's it. And so you get into all these other issues and understandings of what they're going through. What are some of the money paradigms that you're trying to push up against, and how does your coaching approach address those?
The first thing that comes to mind is, we go through different stages or levels in money, because, we're living in this world that's a very materialistic world. It's consumer driven. It's how can I make more money? How can I have the next best thing? But you know what? When we die, none of this is going with us. So how can we really utilize money for what it is, the tool that it is, to make an impact? That's really what it is. Not to say that you don't get to enjoy the luxuries in life and the things that you desire, but really having a different relationship with money, that you're coming from the mindset and the spiritual aspect of what money can really do, because it can transform lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
This conversation really made Carrie and I think differently about money and how it fits into our lives. You often think about the spiritual, the psychological, the mental, the this, the that, the physical. But do I really think about the financial piece of it? Not really. So it's interesting.
I didn't really think about how masculine financial is, even though Wolf of Wall Street, financial services, it's a lot of dudes. But that energy and just thinking of get the most money you can at all times, and having her talk about it in a compassionate way. And it's not just about having the most, which I think is a very aggressive, tends to be masculine way. You want to die with the most money. That's the goal. Versus, is that really the goal? Or is it to have a good life experience, donate it, spend time with your family with it? It just depends. That's what I feel like most of the financial industry is. Make more, make more, make more all the time. And she gives a different perspective and, dare I say, breaks out of that expectation.
Another crucial part of our relationship with money that Beth explores is how it connects to our values.
If you've got a lot of money, you don't have it set up correctly, or you're making sure that you're giving it to your family or to maybe a nonprofit organization. If you don't have it set it up correctly, your money's going to go to Uncle Sam, right? So make sure the money that you're working is value aligned. I always say this. Make sure that what you're doing with your money is aligned with your goals, dreams, and values. Because half the time people are getting their money and then spending it, hardly ever paying themselves first. And so that psychologically says, people are more important than me, right? So just it's those little habits and those little things that can really shift our energetic healing paradigm. And when we are clear on our vision and what we want, saving, investing, spending, it's a whole other game.
Yeah.
It's a whole other game.
We talk about that all the time, Beth and Kelly and I on this with other guests, not even talking about money, but what is your vision? What's your purpose? If you know that, life becomes, we're not saying life is easy, but we're saying life becomes easier at decisions. Because what am I going to do with my money? Oh, well, I value X. So therefore, when I pass away, I'm going to leave it to my family or the nonprofit. And that was easy for me to decide because this is how it aligns to my vision. And I also love that you said, Beth, pay yourself first. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, what is that saying too? If you're helping so many other people, but you're could be unhoused soon because you're helping others, how are you helping yourself and how are you paying yourself first and thinking about yourself? And that could be quite a mind shift change for other people.
Yeah, especially amongst women. We're natural caretakers and givers, right? And so it's not to say we can't do that, but we got to take care of ourselves. It's very empowering. I was married. Now I'm divorced. And, you don't get married thinking you're going to divorce, or you don't get married thinking your spouse is going to pass away, but you got to set ourselves up in a very empowering way, And so even that, especially for us women, it's important that we have those conversations more often with each other.
Beth, why is it so hard to talk about money? What's your take? You've talked to all these people about money. Why is it for a lot of people so hard? And it's kind of this, forbidden topic, talk about how much you make, what you're doing with your money and so why is it so hard?
It's cultural. In the US, it is that way, but in some cultures it's not, Some cultures, they openly talk about it. And so I think that's something that we can mimic. But for what I see and what I've experienced myself, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame, like, oh, we should have known this or we should have known that. But you know what? We only know what we know when we're in it. We've got to forgive ourselves. Yes, we didn't make the right choice, and that's okay. But now I want to make the right choice. And so let me look for the coach, the mentor, because a lot of times we feel like we got to do things on our own. Well, how are you going to get out of that box by yourself, So a lot of times we need to reach out, and that's really important. But I think it really comes down to if we can just forgive ourselves, remove the judgment, and just give ourselves grace that, what, we did the best we could, knowing what we knew in that moment. And now I choose to do different.
So perfect, Beth. I was just thinking of one of the reasons it's sometimes so hard to talk about money is that there is that shame-based part of, well, you're not saving 10% of your income in your 401k. Oh, what are you doing? It feels that there has a lot of shame-based to it. And I think what you said is so beautiful. I had one of my friends who's a psychologist say that to me about 30 years ago. You did the best at the time with the data you had, and you made the right decision. Now you have different data. Now you can make a different decision.
Right, because like the comment you made just now, that's not going to be encouraging for somebody.
Right.
That's probably going to have them, recoil, go back to the stories that they've already planted in their head. So how do we just be, okay, well, great. Do you want to start saving the 10%? Supportive, right?
Yeah.
How do we get to be then supportive to taking it to the next step?
While a lot of Beth's clients are women who follow the financial teachings in her book series, Beth's nonprofit organization, Wellth Living, focuses mostly on men who may be struggling.
Wellth Living is designed to create leaders through healing and learning new ways of conscious living. And in that, we have 9 elements of wealth, and they touch every aspect of your life. And one of those is the financial wealth element piece. And so that's where we're supporting more of the men in our world, because it's a hard world right now, I think, for a man, especially if you're in executive managerial positions and you're leading teams and people. A lot of times the leadership that's in place today, it's coming from an ego wounded space as opposed to a heart-centered, compassionate, healed space. And so that's what Wellth Living is all about. It's supporting people and really coming from a heart-centered leadership space. And there's a high level suicide rate amongst men in our world today. So if we can really support men, really tapping into who they are and their authentic self, they're going to show up differently for us as women, which ultimately gives more room at the table for women. So it's a win-win for everyone.
I love that. And is that the work you do in Costa Rica, Beth?
Yeah, we have a 7-day immersion program. It's a live, experiential program, and that's in Costa Rica. But we also have a lot of online workshops and content that we provide so that we can support people all over the world.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. And you're part of the healing the heart and healing the whole person is just beautiful. And we do need more of that. How does your work as a financial coach intersect with other aspects of wellness?
It's the relationships in our lives can improve, when we're coming from a more empowered, confident space in our relationship with money or where we're at in our financial position, we can really show up much more differently in relationships. And physical, as we're choosing to really heal internally, it shows externally. You got a new glow, more value aligned. So of course your health and nutrition become better, right? So you're going to eat right. You're going to take care of your body. Community, again, talking about how do we get to make an impact. So you're looking at money as how can I choose to give or somehow be impactful with my money. So that's our humanity piece. And then our conscious wealth element, which is about, permaculture, sustainability. How do we get to be more of a producer, rather a consumer, right? I mean, I just think of like how many clothes are sitting in most people's closet that you don't wear. Really, you probably only need 5 pieces of clothing, really. I know most women probably don't want to hear that, but in my journey, I get to see how have I been showing up. And in this, even this last 2 years, when I got the spirit call to go to Costa Rica, and I arrived on January 1st of 2021, I would also got the message to let go of all my stuff. And at first I was like, oh, this is exciting. And then I was like, well, wait, what if this doesn't work? My fear went into play. But I literally got rid of most all my stuff. And anything I couldn't get rid of is still in a storage unit. But even then, I want to get rid of it. Like, I've come to this place where a minimal lifestyle is so freeing. It really is. So if we can be less of a consumer and really be more of a producer, how can we create more versus buying them,
Yeah. That's such a beautiful mindset shift. And I know Kelly has been speaking of cleaning out clutter and closet, and Kelly got this new closet and cleaned things out. And I think you felt amazing when you did that, Kelly.
It is really empowering to let go of things that really don't bring you joy anymore or satisfaction. And I appreciate your story so much, Beth, because this value-added service that you wanted to add to your real estate work has turned into this completely different work that you're doing. And it's changing the way that people view their relationship with money. And obviously, even beyond all of that, it's developing a healthier version of who they are. As I was thinking about the challenges when it comes to changing their relationship with money, I wonder your thoughts on just the language of money, because I know that I shut down almost when I start hearing about mutual funds and bonds and stocks. And I wonder if that's part of the challenge that people face. It's just simply not having the right language or feeling comfortable with the language of money.
Yeah, that absolutely is, especially if you're not brought up in the conversation, and it could be totally new and it's like a foreign language, right? But the great thing is the best thing we can ever do is self-educate. And so if it sounds a little foreign, there are a lot of great books out there that can really bring it down and start at a very basic level and work your way through it. It's not to say that people need to know the ins and outs of the stock market and all of that. That may not be somebody's thing, but at least knowing the different vehicles that are out there, the tax implications, that's like the better avenue I would suggest somebody go, because there's a lot of places to put your money, but they're not all that fantastic, especially when it comes to taxes.
Absolutely. And to your point of making sure that you're having a choice of where you want your money to go, that is really important. So where do you see your work as a financial coach really evolving into the future? What is the vision and goal you have for yourself?
Great question. With the work of Wellth Living, that's really where I see it. I'll continue obviously to support people through my book series and things like this, but really Wellth Living is a dynamic, energetic beast, I want to say. And we have a really big vision to touch a lot of lives globally. And so this is essentially a platform where we could really support people in unlearning and learning new ways of conscious living. And so that's where my work is really elevated and shifted into this platform of Wellth Living. And how can Wellth Living be a support of wealth redistribution for people in the world? And so it's really looking at things of a much more conscious approach. And so that's really what it is. Yes, my books will be still out there and I can support people. And the biggest piece out of all of that is now that next level, which is Wellth Living.
And I think it speaks so much to the really giving nature and that helping nature that you have within yourself. So you have 1 minute with someone who feels stuck with their financial situation. What would you tell them? What is your advice?
Oh, I would first ask them, what do they want? Where do they see themselves in a year, 3 years, 5 years? Let's paint that picture. Because I got the chills right now. I really want people to get in touch with who they are. What do you want? Then we'll work from there.
That is sometimes the toughest question, because you really have to sometimes go to uncomfortable places. So Beth, that open-ended question is, I think, so beautiful. And I thank you so much for being able to share with us your passion for financial coaching and how this little value-added service you wanted to add has evolved into this beautiful calling that you now are sharing with everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate our time together. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful what you're doing, and keep up the good fight and really turning the financial services on its head and leading with heart instead of dollars all the time. So thank you, Beth, for what you're doing. I loved that Beth is advocating for such a big mindset shift.
I almost feel it's a kind of borderline, maybe like healthcare, where it needs to be sort of blown out and redefined and made more accessible almost, because it is intimidating to meet with a financial advisor.
I was thinking too, Kelly, the lack of education around finances. So, I have a child in high school, and he describes high school as most of the learning you'll never use again, and it's all bullshit. So that's lovely. Please just pass. Please just pass. But I mentioned to him something around financial and life skills, and he said that would actually be interesting because that would be useful. I'm going to shade biology, but I know photosynthesis is really important, but honestly, if we all knew just a smidge of that, a week of photosynthesis, just to know, don't kill plants, I get it. However, if you spent more of this semester on financials, I don't know, that might be really cool. Sorry, bio majors. We can do both, but put some financial education in. Mm-hmm. You can't escape money. You can't.
If this episode inspired you or made you think, give us a 5-star rating and spread the word. It helps us reach more people who just might need these stories. And don't forget to subscribe to The Breakout so you never miss a new episode. I'm Kelly Gunther.
And I'm Dr. Carrie Ulrich. See you next time.